Hello and welcome to the Voices of the Vic podcast with me, Mike Duffy. And today, as you can see, I'm joined by Tom from the Golden Pages Fanzine. Tom, it's been a while since you'd last been on, but how are things with you? You all good?
Yeah, all good. Yeah, voice is struggling a bit after yesterday, but yeah, no, thanks for having me. It's great to be back on.
No, not a problem. Shame we couldn't. That voice wasn't lost because of a 2-1 victory for Watford, and unfortunately had to settle for a 1-1. Just before we do start, I just want to say, if you've tuned in and you're not seeing, Ben isn't here. He's all right though. It's just he's been very, very busy with his daughter's birthday party yesterday, and he's packing because he's going away on holiday on Tuesday. So he's all right, but I'm stepping in. It's been a while since I've hosted, so bear with me, the listeners and people that might be watching along. But as we said, we're here to talk about the game yesterday. 1-1 away at the New York Stadium. A little bit disappointing in my eyes, but we'll get onto that. We'll start, as always, with the team news, Tom. So the team news yesterday, it was Bachmann, it was Kamara, Sema, and then Cathcart, Kabasele and House, and in the midfield, it was Chowdhury, Kayembe, Asprilla, and then Bayo and João Pedro up top. On the bench was Hamer, Gaspar, Troost-Ekong, Davis, Gosling, Sierralta, and Humbo. Big one straight away for me, Tom, was there was no Ismail Assar. What did you make of the team news initially, and then also of the news about Ismail Assar?
Yeah, it was a bit disappointing to hear Sarr wasn't playing. Obviously, he's the game changer that he is. Yeah, initial thought was it was a bit concerning to see Kabasele at the centre of the three as opposed to Sierralta. I don't think either of them have been pulling up trees, so to speak. But yeah, I think perhaps it showed a bit of our vulnerability with Kabasele at the back. He didn't have a great game. I'm sure we'll go on to talk about that in a bit more detail and his involvement in the goal. But yeah, seeing that lineup, I thought it was strong enough to take all 3 points from that game. But perhaps it wasn't meant to be. I mean, the other bit that was a bit concerning was having Kamara at right wing back. Clearly, that's not something that we managed to address in the transfer window. And I've got a few thoughts about Ngakia as well, which again I'm sure we'll discuss a bit later. But we lose a bit of balance, I think, with Kamara on the right, and I think he was injured as well late on. So perhaps there might be a bit of an impact of that for future games. But yeah, as I said, I thought it was a good enough lineup to win the game, and unfortunately it didn't transpire that way.
Yeah, as you say, it's so much more clearer that Kamara is a left-sided player. I think we saw him switch over to the left against Middlesbrough in the later stages, I think, and it was just so easy to watch, and you could see how fluid he was and how confident, and he just doesn't look right at that right wing back. And as you say, we had plenty of chances to address that in the transfer window. Unfortunately, it wasn't the case. Ngakia, whether he comes back in, we don't know. Rob said that he's coming back from injury. There's a chance he could play, and it'd be interesting to see what he can do there. But yeah, I think my main one was, I know it was Sierralta coming out of the squad, and then Kabasele. I know he's sort of had the run around a bit in the last few games, Sierralta has, but I'm really not sure on Kabasele. Me and Ben were speaking about this in the last podcast, and I don't want to slag him off too much because he's been a guest on this podcast. He's a nice guy, but unfortunately, I just don't think he's the man to be in that back three, really. I think Cathcart and Horse. I think House yesterday was absolutely superb. I think it's been a while since we've seen a defender that composed and calm on the ball. And I think probably the last one for me was maybe Marco Cassetti that we saw, who sort of had that presence about him that was cool, calm and collected. So it was really good to see Courtney yesterday sort of play that role. As you said, looking at that team, we're thinking, yeah, this should be strong enough. Not underestimating Rotherham one bit because they'd only lost one game previously. And I was in the Wetherspoons before chatting to a couple of Rotherham fans, and they said, we took a pasting on Tuesday night. They lost to Sunderland. And I just thought, we can't come here underestimating them because of, the fact that they've just come up. But it wasn't a good start. I think 2 minutes into the clock, And Richard Woods, who seems to be quite free scoring at the moment for Rotherham. I think that was his 5th goal of the season already. So that's quite remarkable for a centre-back. A cross was put in, and I don't even think the Rotherham guy that crossed it in was really expecting much. It was more I'll just lump this in, see what happens.
Yeah.
And then Cabaselli stands still. Backman fails to come off his line, and there's Richard Woods, easy as you like, 1-0 in 2 minutes. How disappointing was that, Tom? Straight away, we put ourselves on the back foot, bit like we did against Middlesbrough as well.
Yeah, as you said, it's a second consecutive game that's happened, and you're essentially playing with a handicap of a goal, which is never helpful. In terms of the goal, I've watched it back on a couple of the replays because I thought it'd be better to have the benefit of a second look, shall we say? And yeah, as you said, the guy kind of lumps it in. It's a bit of a kind of hopeful ball into the box, and I've looked at it a couple of times, and it looks as though I think Cabaselli should clearly have got rid of it, headed it out. I think he could have been in a position to do so. It looks as though he got a shout from somewhere to leave it, or to, whether it was the same sort of situation as Chalobah against Bournemouth a couple of years ago, where the forward sort of shouted to leave it, and he kind of crept it. It looked like that because Cathcart couldn't have shouted because he didn't have enough time to come across. So I think that's what happened there. I mean, in terms of the cross itself, I'm a little bit critical of Backman here as well. It's a common problem. I think you call it a problem in terms of his style of play. He's never been one to command the box. I mean, shot stopping wise, he's been incredible this year, like unbelievable, as good as we could have hoped for. But what you're losing with Backman is a bit of distribution, which he's improved over the last sort of 2 or 3 games, I think. But you've also got that box presence. He should have come out for that. He should have shouted bellowed his name and grabbed that up for me. I think, it was just outside the 6-yard box. And yeah, he's got to take that. He shouldn't be relying on the centre-backs to clear that. And yeah, as I said, I think it was a miscommunication on sort of Cabaselli's part. I don't think he had a great game anyway. But you go 1-0 down after a couple of minutes, and a place like Rotherham, the onus is on Watford to break them down, and it's going to be a hard game, and that's exactly what happens. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely, completely agree. And like you said, if he has heard a shout, we learnt our lesson with that last season when we played Leicester. I think Troost-Ekong ducked and Maddison was behind him, and he ended up scoring. I don't care if you keep us shouting there. If you think you're going to get it, just get it. And if Backman has shouted for that, why is he still on his line? As you said, absolutely superb shot stopper. And he's, really cemented his place as number one. He come back in after losing his position last year, and he's had a brilliant start to the season. But if he has called for that, then he needs to be coming off his line and not rooted to the spot. Cabas should be dealing with that regardless for me, even if he has heard a shout. You just cannot sort of rely on people behind you, especially if Backman was on his line. So yeah, really poor to go 1-0 down, a bit like we did early doors against Middlesbrough, as I say. And yeah, you mentioned there, going to a place like Rotherham, I don't think they've lost at home yet, because that defeat that come was away at Sunderland. So you know what you're going to get. It's a tight little stadium, very nice stadium, but tight, sort of close to the action, and the can be a bit of a raucous atmosphere in there at times as well. So to already, as you say, go 1-0 down is really disappointing. And to be honest, Tom, I don't think we reacted at all. That first 20 minutes for me was probably the worst 20 minutes I've seen, probably going back to last season when we were absolutely awful. But for you, was it the same for you? That 20 minutes was horrendous.
Yeah, there was just no reaction. It was almost as though we started the game at 3:30 when Bayo scored. It was I just expected a reaction. There was no control of the game. We were seconds to the first and second balls for that first 20 minutes. That was very disappointing, and I think Rob Edwards spoke after the game. He was quite animated in his upset about how we played, and you can't. You've got to go into each game with your foot on the gas from the word go, and that's 2 games where we've been punished that, you know, we probably lost points as a result of that, versus, you know, had we not conceded then, just very hopefully it's something that they're looking at in training this week, because I think there's a week until the Reading game on Saturday. So things to learn. It was good to see that we did find that equaliser within half an hour, and it wasn't wait until the final knock into the game. And I thought after we scored the goal, that was a real turning point. The goal itself was brilliant, I thought. One thing I think about the thing with Sema being on the left is that you've got, going forwards, you've got his ability to cross the ball, and he takes on a player, and I don't think there's another player in the squad at the moment that's capable of putting in crosses like he does. So that's something to think about, I guess, with Kamara being on the right. Is if Kamara is on the left, you've got to take Ken out, and you'll lose a bit of something there. So something to kind of think about. But
Yeah, no, absolutely. And as you say, 33 minutes on the clock, Sema gets down that left-hand side, crosses it beautifully, and my word, what a finish. Vakoun Bayo. To think it wasn't long ago when he was coming on and he had these chances and he was missing them, and there were even people comparing him to Andre Gray, and which I think is highly disrespectful. And they just writ him off straight away. They were saying, this guy's another Mogi Bayat client, he's no good. But 2 goals in 2 games for him, and surely confidence is going to lift off from here, because my word, what a finish. I thought, I'll be honest, when that ball come in and when he hit it first time, I thought he skied this here. But what a goal it was, wasn't it, Tom?
Oh, it's brilliant. Technically excellent. From the cross in was brilliant, exactly where you'd want it to go, from the byline from Sema. And then, again, I've watched that goal back a couple of times. I thought it was at the opposite end, wasn't it? So it was a little bit difficult to see at the time. But you had a defender coming out attacking the ball, and he's just kept his eye on it from the start. Made technically brilliant contact on it, and he's hit it sort of quite high and powerful, absolutely superb. And I think his goal against Middlesbrough would likely have given him confidence. I'm not sure whether he would have finished to quite the same aplomb had he not scored against Middlesbrough. But it's a very, very technically good finish. And I mean, with Bayo and a lot of the players, it's a brand new system. He's coming into a new club, coming from abroad. I know he's played at Celtic in the past, but Championship football is unlike any other football in the world, I think. So it's a very specific way of playing, and you've got challenges that you don't find in many leagues. So, I mean, I like to give the sides about 10 games to really form an opinion. So I didn't like him being, or any of them kind of being written off immediately. You need to give him a run of games and to see how they get on. I mean, he could be the next kind of Andre Gray or an iteration of that, but you've got to judge him over a longer period of time. And he's come up with 2 key goals in two games, and hopefully it'll build his confidence and he can really kick on, because he's got some challenges, some challenges to that position once everyone's fit. He's not going to be able to walk into the starting 11.
No, and it would have been interesting as well yesterday if Sarr was fit. Would Bayo still started? Because obviously Bayo won us a match and he deserves to be rewarded for that from the Middlesbrough game. But at the end of the day, it's Ismaila Sarr. So it would have been interesting to see whether he would have started or not. But I think I was saying on the last podcast, I think with a player like that, I can definitely see a player in there. I really can. And like you said, we're still early into the regime. He's still learning a new, system. He's come over to English football, which is the Championship, I would say, is probably the most physical league in the whole of England. So he's completely had to change the style of play. But I think there's a player in there, and I think these 2 goals will help him. I think he's a confidence player. So 2 goals in 2 games, and as you say, they weren't like consolation goals or the 5th in a 6-0 win or whatever. They were key goals to win us points. So hopefully, fingers crossed that he will chip in with the odd goal there and then. I mean, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but he did have another chance to put us ahead. But that goal wasn't far from half time. So to go in 1-1 at half time, did you feel a little bit more comfortable considering what we had to endure in that first 20 minutes? Did you think, okay, 1-1 at half time, we got the last goal, we're shooting towards the away fans? Was you feeling a bit more confident going into the second half time?
Yeah, I think we grew into it, and as I said earlier, the point that we got the goal, I thought we were on the up, and this is a bit more of the Watford that we've come to hope for in the last few weeks. It felt like it was kind of the game was restarting at half time because of the way that it started. With that one goal disadvantage that we had, as you said, shooting towards the home fans. I really liked it. That's the first time I've been to Rotherham's new grounds, and I really liked it. It was quite steep, so it felt everyone was very close to it. And I don't think there was a bad seat in the house. So we got I felt much more positive about the coming out after the break, and I thought Rob would get into them at half time and make sure they didn't start the second half like they did the first. And I thought, second half we were pretty dominant, although lacked a bit of a cutting edge at times. But it's frustrating when you've got to come from a goal down to get on level terms. But
absolutely. And second half, it was clear that Rob had sort of said, right, we need to change what we're doing, because what we was doing in the first half just did not work at all. So we saw a couple of chances. I think Rotherham had a chance from distance. I thought Backman did very well to save it, actually. Again, highlighting his qualities as a shot stopper, as you mentioned previously, Tom. He must have moved in the air, swerved a bit from long distance, and he got down and parried it. But I thought that was a decent enough save, because a team like Rotherham, no disrespect to them, but they're going to take any chance that they could. You look back to the Preston game, and most of their shots felt like they were long distance shots, and they obviously thought, well, if we fancy it, why not have a go? And teams like that, sometimes they'll feed off those sort of scraps. So fair play to Backman to get down low from that save from Barlaser. There was a penalty shout in the second half. I think it was João Pedro that was sort of bundled down. I walked past you. You actually had a good seat. I walked past you when we went into the stadium. From your point of view, did you look at that and think, how's he not given that? Or do you think it was a bit soft?
I didn't think there was much in it, to be honest. After the QPR, was it the QPR game where, I think Kamara got taken down in injury time or very late on in that game, and I thought that was a far more convincing penalty than the João Pedro one. I think I don't know whether he's got a reputation, but I don't think there was much in it. Could have been given, but I wasn't furious that it wasn't. Sometimes you're going to get them, sometimes you're not really.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, I don't. A lot of people will probably slate the referee, but I thought we were quite fortunate at times yesterday. I think there was a foul given when Rotherham broke in the second half, and I think they were pretty much through. And we got a foul, and I thought, no way is that a foul, but you take them, don't you? So, I think I'll probably get slated for this, but one of the more sort of equally balanced refereeing performances I think I've seen so far this season from Lee Doughty. But you mentioned earlier, Tom, about Ngakia, and you've got a few words on what you think of him. 64 minutes in, we were forced into that first change, and it was Kamara that come off and Gaspar come on. I'm still not convinced on Gaspar. He got forward a little bit more yesterday than I've sort of seen him do in previous games, but still not convinced he's the answer to our prayers at right wing back. With Kamara coming off, it may be a precaution, it may be a long-term thing. If once Ngakia's fit, do you think he has to be starting in that position?
I think this is a role. As soon as Rob Edwards came in, I thought this is a role. Right wing back is perfectly suited to Jeremy Ngakia. He's perhaps been a little bit unfortunate in the past with his lack of opportunities that he's had under previous managers. He's still young. He's got a lot to learn, but I thought it's exactly the player he is. It's busting up and down the wings. He's got a hell of an engine on him. Perhaps his crossing isn't necessarily the strongest point of his game, but something that he could perhaps learn. But I'm just not sure where he sits in Rob Edwards' thought process. I know he's injured at the moment, But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but I think he was on the bench for a couple of games earlier on in the season when Kamara was being played on the right. I'm not entirely sure if that's the case, but yeah, I just don't think he's fancied by Rob Edwards for whatever reason. It may be, I don't know, it might be what he's doing in training, or I really don't know. But I really hope that he's given a chance there and he can thrive and impress. He's given the opportunity to impress Rob Edwards because he's right-footed. As I said, he's got an engine on him and he's young. So I think he could be the what's the fella that is it Kane Wilson, the guy that was in that position for Forest Green last year. I think he's physically similar to him. And yeah, I can't see a future playing a left-footed player on the right. And as you said, Gaspar is not a bustling winger. He's a very good. He just reminds me of Marco Cassetti. And you wouldn't dream of playing Marco Cassetti right wing back because he just didn't have the legs. I think in a 4, Gaspar could be good, but the left and right wing back positions playing in this system are the 2 most important positions on the pitch, perhaps more so than the strikers, because of everything comes from them, all the creativity, and a lot of the sort of, 3 at the back turns to 5 at the back if you're under pressure, but also it adds to midfielders and when you're going forward. So I really hope he's given a chance. Ngakia for the future.
Yeah, and you are right. He was on the bench for the Sheffield United game, Burnley and Birmingham game, and then he picked up a knock in training, so he's been injured ever since. But I must admit and hold my hands up here. A couple of podcasts ago, I can't remember when it was, but I sort of said I don't know if Ngakia would suit a right wing back role, but now the transfer window's closed. I said we should give him a go, absolutely. But now the transfer window's closed, surely that points to him taking that spot, because we can't go forwards playing Kamara at right wing back because he just doesn't suit it. He still tries to get forward. A couple of times yesterday, he made a few bursting runs trying to get forward and trying to create attacks, but he just looks awkward on that side. It's almost as if he doesn't like to, or he's not capable of putting in a first-time cross or trying to sort of make play work. He has to sort of switch it onto his left side. So, yeah, he should definitely be out on the left 100%. As you say, where does that leave Ken? As we know, Ken is a good crosser of the ball, and the work rate is very good in the Championship. So it'll be interesting to see. But I must admit, I do think that Ngakia could be the guy. We were talking about when he first joined under Ivic, his stats were incredible on paper. He was highest blocks, highest interceptions, and could we see that possibility of him sort of being moulded into that Kane Wilson role? And someone suggested Hungbo down there in the comments. I don't know whether I'd go with Hungbo. Hungbo attacking wise, he's very good. We saw what he could do at Ross County last season, but has he got the defensive capabilities? Often you see wing backs or people that try and play wing back get it so wrong. They might be brilliant going forward, but defensively you have to be just as good. So I don't know if I'd agree with Hungbo there, but absolutely I think Jeremy Ngakia needs to be given a chance, and hopefully when he's back from this injury, we will see him at right wing back. But
with Gaspar as well. Sorry to interrupt you, Mike. Yeah, I thought he's good at right back in a 4, but I thought he would come in as a right centre back. In that system, I thought it was where Cathcart's playing at the moment, because he's comfortable on the ball. You can see technically he's very good. With the strength of perhaps Ciaralta at the back, in the middle of the 3, and Courtney Horser at left centre back. I thought that's a role that's sort of not made for him, but he might excel in that system.
No, completely agree. And, we know he's got the pedigree. He was at Villarreal for how long and captain there. So, he's a good player. And I just think, as we've spoke about, he doesn't have the legs to be getting up and down and, attacking. And then if they break, he needs to be sprinting back. Rob said that a couple of times in interviews, and he hasn't got the legs. So I think if we were to see a better position for him, then absolutely in that back 3, as one of the centre-backs, I could definitely see him there. And as Adam Tomlinson rightly said there, we may as well give Ngakia a chance rather than him sitting on the bench and playing a player out of position, really, which is what we're doing with Kamara at the moment, because we're not getting the best out of him. And let's not forget he won Player of the Season last year. So another man that we saw not make his debut, because he made his debut against Birmingham City, but we saw more of him. 67 minutes on the clock. Davies come on for Asprilla. Firstly, I just want to talk about Asprilla. I think it's incredible that he's hit the ground running. I said on one of the first podcasts of the season that I didn't think he was going to play much this season. I thought he's going to be a bit part player. He's going to come on sort of last 20, last 30, unlock defences, tired legs, have someone running at him, have him running at tired legs, sorry. But he's been a mainstay in the team, and a fair play to him. He's hit the ground running in the English game. I think yesterday maybe highlighted he's still got a fair bit to go in his development. I think his shooting isn't where he perhaps wants it to be. He got himself into a good position a couple of times, and we know what he's like with his through balls, finding pockets of space. But he had a couple of chances yesterday, which if he'd sort of rounded his game off a little bit more, he perhaps would have finished. But what did you make of the Asprilla, and what have you made of him so far, Tom?
I think it's just incredible the way that he's come into this side. He's 18 years old, which, you know, coming into perhaps, you know, demanding a starting 11 position in any, you know, championship side is impressive. But he's come from Colombia, no experience of the English league. He doesn't speak the language. I just think he's incredible, an absolutely incredible person to adapt to that. And technically, again, he's very skillful. He's got superb touch on him, and he's very effective already. And we're at the beginning of September. I think he's got the potential to surpass Richarlison and João Pedro if he continues his development and progress so far. He's another one. He's a joy to watch, and he's got such a slight frame. You think, oh god, he's going to get knocked off the ball every time, but he's quite strong. He's got a low centre of gravity, and yeah, massive asset to us. And I hope that he continues to grow, and he'll become more important as the season goes on. I'm sure, you know, that role behind the strikers in that kind of, I guess it's a sort of deep number 10, high number 8 role. I'm sure he'll come in and out of the team as the season goes on, and we have certain players fit and unfit. But yeah, I'm very impressed with him so far.
Yeah, and then the man to come on and replace him, Keenan Davies. I mean, we know what to expect from him because of how he played at Nottingham Forest last season on loan. You know, he's got a reputation of being big and strong player and chipping with a few goals. And a couple of people said he not only will he chip in with a few goals himself, but he'll also create goals for other people. And I think we saw that yesterday, that straight away. I'm pretty sure his first involvement, we pretty much almost nearly scored, and he almost got himself on the score sheet. And it's just a joy to watch. He's going to be some player in this team, isn't he, Tom?
Yeah, he's another one he's got a role perfectly suited to his skill set. His hold-up play when he came on there was unbelievable. The ball was sticking out. I've not seen a Watford player like who's been able to hold up the ball like that for years. I mean, possibly kind of Darius Henderson era. He was holding off defenders, and that's going to help with the pace of Sarr when he comes back, and Pedro. He's going to occupy defenders, and he's going to create so many opportunities, let alone his abilities to finish that we saw at Forest in spells last year. If he can rediscover his Forest form, I think we've got a hell of a player there. And I hope that there's a possibility to sign him permanently if that option does come in. And he's a local lad as well. I love to see. I think he's from Stevenage. I think.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
It's another great thing, a real sort of side point, I guess. But he's probably familiar with the area. It's a bit more comfortable, so that might have eased his settling in. But I felt sorry for him. I think he was ill for the last couple of games, so I felt sorry for him, sort of having to sit watching on, frustrated. But yeah, give him a bit more match fitness, and we've got a real player there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, as you say, the fact that he's been injured and then he's been ill, yet he's still come on and looked this good. Like you mentioned earlier, we've got a week now until the next game. And it's it's going to be needed. You know, this Saturday, Tuesday is relentless, as we all know in the Championship. But he's going to, well, him and a load of others are going to benefit from that break. So hopefully he goes straight into the squad against Reading, and he can hit the ground running. But that chance I mentioned, you know, we ended up hitting the post. It was Bayo. I think João Pedro crossed the ball, and Bayo and Gaspar went for the same ball, and hit the post in the end. For me, I don't even think it needed that much power. It just needed more direction. You must have had a brilliant view of that, sat right behind the goal. But did you think that was in, Sam?
Oh yeah, I did. I really did. I was kind of jumping up and down when the ball got played in. I think Bayo had a similar attempt. I don't know whether it was against Middlesbrough or the game, perhaps QPR, something before that. But a similar ball came in, and as you said, he just needed to kind of guide it in, and he sort of nicked off his head, and obviously he didn't get enough contact on it, and it's hit the post. But you know, that could have been the game, but should have been the game winner, I think. Yeah, I was just very frustrated that one didn't go in. But yeah, hopefully he's learned from that, and you know, next time that happens, he'll be finishing those.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's sort of the frustration I think people are having with Bayo. You know, he'll go and score that absolutely, you know, beaut of a goal in the first half, and then all he has to do is get some form of direction on the header, and it's in, and it's 2-1, and you know, we probably see the rest of the game out, maybe go and get another one. You know, Davies had a chance sort of not long after where he'd muscled his way out of danger, and then he managed to have a shot, but it was blocked at the near post, and the corners kept coming. And I think it just sort of summed up our game, really. We couldn't really finish those chances that we were carving out. And at the end of the day, it was another draw away from home. Still not won away from home, but that old cliche in football, win your home games and draw your away ones. If you average 2 points every game, then, you know, you're going to end up there and basically getting promoted. So are you too concerned at the moment, Sam, that we seem to be drawing? We can't seem to do it on the road, sort of. I don't want to compare him to this, but we sort of felt like that under Ivic. We just couldn't do it away from home. Are you concerned at all, or do you think, you know, we're still early days, give it time? Technically, we haven't lost away, and we're still picking up points on the road, which is important. Which side of the fence are you on?
Yeah, I think it's important to kind of understand a bit of the context, really. You know, you could say we've not won away from home, or we've not lost equally. So, and as you said, the way to promotion is to win your home games and at least take a point from your away games. It's frustrating because we've played winnable games. I felt we were, you know, I don't think many people would have been too shocked if we would have picked up 3 points having watched that game. But it's all going to take time. You know, we've had a huge change, a change of head coach, change of culture, system, style, mentality. You know, you don't win the league in August or September. You need to get that momentum as the year turns. You know, we've also got the World Cup break as well, which is going to be a big impact in how our season goes on. So I think we just need to. We've got a lot of important players coming back. You know, Luz has not kicked a ball yet. Courtney Hawes is played his first 90. Davis and Gakia, as I said, you know, they're all important players in this system. So I think to be in the position that we are, 3 points off of the top spot, I think at this stage is brilliant. I think we once players become once we find a starting 11 and players become more comfortable in the system, what's demanded from them, we're going to be flying, because we've definitely got one of the best squads, if not the best squad in the division. We've got such depth, and you know, an injury to Sarr today, and it's not really been too much of an impact in terms of the players that can come in to replace him. You know, Keenan Davis and Bayo up front. You know, we've got two goals in 2 games from Bayo. I'm very positive still. There's a long way to go. It's a long old season, and as you said earlier, you know, it's been so relentless the last few weeks, 2 games a week, and it's been a real test. And to be in a position that we're at is great. The only frustrating thing, I think, is the the absence of that bringing in that right wing back, I thought that was as most people have said, was just something that we died, really in need of. Particularly if Ingaki is not fancied. But it's a journey, isn't it? We've got to enjoy the ride. There's going to be highs, there's going to be lows. A lot of people have said they'd be happy for us to stick in the Championship for a couple of years. I'm not of that opinion. I think we need to get up as soon as we can. But it's, I think as someone tweeted, it might have been from an Everton account or something. It's about the journey, not the destination. So, very positive moving forwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's nice to hear some positivity. I mean, you log into Twitter nowadays, and my word, it's just a horrible, toxic place on there. I mean, as we were walking out the ground yesterday, I heard some lads behind me saying that effectively we were sleepwalking into League One, and I thought, right, I just need to get myself on the train and get home, because, like, as you say, we've however many games in to a new manager, a new regime. These are the same people that wanted us to stick with an English coach. They want us to change the direction on how we approach things, how we play football. Rob Edwards was never going to come in and change it straight away, and then straight away we're playing fantastic football, top of the league by 5 points clear and all that. That was never going to happen. The fact we've lost one game and we're sitting here and we'll be honest, we're 8 games in. We've not yet had a performance where we've been like, wow, that was incredible. Yet we've still got 13 points on the board. As you rightly said, Tom, we're 3 points behind Norwich, who are top. We're in the playoffs as it stands. That's a good return for me. 8 games, 13 points. I'll take that, considering we've been at large, we've been pretty rubbish. So I'll take that, and I'm happy to wait for the better performances to come. I think I said the other day, the transfer window's closed now until January, so we can now start. Rob can start doing what he wants. Well, not doing what he wants, but he can start sort of moulding his team how he wants. He knows who he's got. He's not in the back of his head thinking, right, I'll play him here, but he might be leaving, so his head might be turned. There's positive signs to come, and. Like you said there, you're not of the opinion that we should be sticking around in the Championship for a couple of seasons. I understand where people are coming from when they say that, but it's a very risky game to play. You've seen it before. Teams come down from the Prem, stay in the Championship for 2-3 seasons, and it gets harder and harder each year to get out of. I think Aston Villa's the only one I can think of where they come down, didn't go back up at the first time of asking. And then the season after, luckily for them, they got up via the playoffs, and they've been in the Prem since. So, that's a very rare sort of instance of that happening. I know Bournemouth did it as well, come down, didn't go back up, and then went up the season after. So it's a very risky game to play, absolutely. But another point on the road, trying to keep the positivity going. It's not all doom and gloom. We could be worse, could be sitting rock bottom of the league. You'd think we were with some of the stuff that people have been saying on Twitter, but I think you're absolutely spot on there, Tom. And we've got a week now till the next game against Reading, so fingers crossed we can get some good preparation in. People that have had little knocks and niggles can sort of rest up a little bit. Reading are playing as we speak, so we get one more day's preparation than them, or 1 day more rest than them, however it works. So let's take whatever we can, and we know it'll be a tough game, and we just got to keep on going. That's all we can do, and enjoy the roller coaster that is the Championship. But I think that about wraps it up for today. So Tom, thank you very much for joining me. Your voice has managed to hold out. I know it's a bit hoarse from yesterday, as we were saying before we come on air. This is the most I've been to football in a while, and every time I come back and my throat's in bits. So thanks very much for coming on again. It's been great to chat, and I'm sure we'll speak again at some stage this season. But
yes, thanks for having me.
No, not a problem. And thanks for all those that have listened. We really do appreciate it. Apologies if it's been a bit rusty. As I say, I've not hosted since 2 seasons ago, so it's been nerve-wracking for me throughout. But thanks for sticking with us and watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to give it a like, hit subscribe as well. we're trying to reach that 300 subscribers mark by Christmas. It's very doable. We're a couple of, I think we're like 80 or something off. So yeah, 3 months ago. So if you can subscribe to us, that'd be brilliant. And let us know your thoughts as well in the comments section. But until next time, stay safe and come on, you-ons.